Hey, lovely people. Right, okay, so it's catch-up time again, and we're going to be catching up on Wargames Illustrated. So, issue 423, and then I'm going to follow it up with a look at issue 424. Looks like we've got some English Civil War stuff in 424. So I'll do a separate video for 424. Let's have a look at 423. Strategy and Guile, complete campaign system by Jervis Johnson. So let's have a look. This month's cover artwork by Carl Kopinski, used with kind permission of Perry Miniatures. Doesn't say what it's depicting though, which is a shame. But it looks like it's some sort of Napoleonic cavalry engagement. Right. Okay, so subscriptions. Block War. Hey, that looks cool. Judge Dredd. Wow. Check out these Dredd miniatures. Fatties at War. Mega City Resident Mob. City Def Jaeger Squad. City Def Spit Cannon Emplacement. Justice Department Pat Wagon. That looks fab. Look at that. And yeah, so this this is look, I'm sorry, this is an advert, but you can't just pass this by. Right, this expansion for Judge Dredd Miniatures game introduces a whole new level of play to your tabletop, the devastating block wars of Mega City 1. Each player builds their own block with unique characteristics, gathers their residents together, and then unleashes them on the self-satisfied citizens of a neighbouring block. Included are new rules, new characters and units, new armoury cards, new campaign system, and a brand new block war deck that brings the sheer violence and chaos of a block war to the tabletop, along with a lot of judges. The streets of Mega City 1 have just become a lot more violent. Block War contains 2 exclusive Warlord Resin block resident miniatures. Is that going to be these 2? 80-page full-colour A5 expansion. Block data sheet pad. Block War card deck. And 3 armoury cards. So that's what this is. So it looks like you get that. But then, obviously, you've got these. I mean, this Justice Department Pat Wagon is 40 quid. 13 quid for Justice Department Riot Control. So, yeah, that looks good. I'm going to have to look into that, I think. Anyway, observation post. Partisan Press, the Wargamers Annual 2023. What's this? Wargamers Annual 2023. With the new year well underway, we've missed the opportunity to plonk ourselves in front of the fire in our PJs on Christmas morn, discover the Wargamers Annual 2023 in our stockings, and read as we chow down on a Satsuma. But that doesn't mean we can't still enjoy it. The articles within cover a wide variety of different wargaming periods, and each of them is illustrated with full colour maps. Okay, that's interesting. I've never heard of that before. Wargamers Annual 2023. Yes, that's cool. Battlefront Flames of War Clash of Steel starter set. Loads of stuff for 50 quid. What do you get? Blah, 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 blah. Before we talk about the meat of this set though, well, the plastic, let's go over the supportive bones within. There's a small format Flames of War rulebook, a quick start guide to further ease newbies into the rules, unit cards for the plastics included, 20 dice in 2 different colours, and well-produced instructions for the construction of the forces. These instructions, with their breakdown of the infantry frames and well-presented build diagrams of the tanks, are something many manufacturers skip or oversimplify. The tanks and armoured vehicles themselves come in 2 different coloured plastics that will define the forces without the need for paint if you are feeling lazy. At times the tones don't quite match up, and it's a shame that the infantry all come in the plain grey plastic, but that's about the only criticism that we can throw at the starter set. The set provides you with plentiful supply of plastic to build opposing German and Soviet forces better suited to later war combat. 3 Panthers make up German HQ and tank platoon, while 2 Panzer 470s are their tank hunters, a Jagdtiger. Makes for an imposing heavy option. The Panzer Grenadier Infantry of 27 figures have some great variety in them. 4 T-34s provide HQ and tank company for the Soviets. 2 IS-2 tanks and their heavy option. The Soviet force mixes things up with the ISU-122s in an assault gun company, and 3 BA-64s as an armoured car option. 35 figures make up their motor rifle company. So that's a lot of figures and vehicles for 50 quid. It's 15mm scale, so cool. Osprey Games, Stargrave, and Empress Miniatures, the Wild Bunch assortment. So these are cool if you're into your westerns. We then have Crusader Miniatures Boxer Upriding, Boxers and Japanese. Okay. And then we have Warlord Games Bolt Action, the SDKF Z250. And it looks like you can make the command version as well, which was the Gref or Grief, or Greif even, which apparently means Griffin. But that was Rommel's command half-track. Release radar. What do we got? World War II, French, Chinese, Germans, Poles, and a sort of Spanish. Chinese rifleman with German headgear. World War II Chinese rifleman. So that's these guys. I'm wondering if this is in Big Daddy of a Small World backer 6mm. So that's their 6mm. These look too well detailed to potentially be 6mm. 28mm these guys, and then .156 scale is what they're saying there. Right, laying the table. It's amazing the degree to which terrain mats have enhanced our tabletop gaming. These flexible godsends are much easier to set up than batten enforced wooden boards or the old school sand tables we used to struggle with. So this is a 120 by 80cm mat. Comes ready marked with the deployment lines and other markings you need to set up a game. From wargamerswims.mabasy.com. Lots in the release radar for March. We've got these great miniature buildings here. These look like 28mm, 28mm sci-fi. Miscellany. So it looks like we've got some ancients here. Roman velites, Arab archers, Genoese crossbowmen, and this is just called a modern civilian range from Empress Miniatures down here. So here's the Clash of Steel set from Flames of War. Does look good. Right, full paper jacket. New books for the discerning wargamer. So, Ancients. We have Alexander the Great. The campaign that felled Achaemenid, Persia. Early modern is this one. Gustavus versus Wallenstein. Napoleonic Wars, fighting Napoleon at home. This one is the Hunting Falcon, World War I. World War II, storming Hitler's British fortress. The commando raids on the Channel Islands in World War II. That's interesting. And what's this one? Elite Bastards. The combat missions of Company F LRP teams in Vietnam. So long range patrol teams, LRP. And then we've got Hammerfalls. The Hammer Falls, Westmoreland, Season of Offensive 1967. So, some great minis here from First Core, Pulp Pictures, Crucible Crush. WI Digital, closer look at the digital STL files that WI Prime members can download and print this month. So they all look great. Nice man-at-arms there. Some Japanese soldiery. And a quick painting guide by the look of it. Introducing Strategy Guile. So, Valor and Fortitude is this. This is like a campaign system by Jervis Johnson. So this is like information about his campaign system and how it's used. The campaign map, forces, umpire admin, event and points, anti-fizzle out precautions, and umpire improv. Playing Strategy and Guile. So this is interesting. This is a basic run through of some of the bits and pieces for playing Strategy and Guile. So a lot of detail here. I mean, you've got CNC and bonus order, so that's command and control, bonus order, issuing orders, CNC transfers, patrols, order submission, traffic jams, collisions, reassignment orders, report phase, battles, patrols, reinforcements again, resolving the battles, attrition. So there's a lot to take in there. Right, Kit Bashan, a broken down 250/3. So this looks cool. Just obviously going through if you wanted to do a little vignette of a broken down vehicle and how this guy did it. Although I will say, I think for the test photograph they could have got the track the right way up. But hey. Strongbow. Pete Brown looks at wargaming possibilities offered by Norman Invasion of Ireland for later Dark Age gamers. So that's cool. Norman Invasion of Ireland. I didn't even know that was a thing. King Rory's Irish and Strongbow's Normans. Got quite a large board they're playing with there. So this looks like they're just talking through a battle report almost. And then you've got what the armies were made up from, I think, by the look of it. Bill Hook's Battlefield Scatter. So this is nice, just adding in some bits and pieces. This looks like just abandoned weapons and armour. Operation Polo, the annexation of Hyderabad, 1948. So this looks like is it part of the Indian partition that took place? So a period of Indian unification in which Hyderabad struck a claim for independence and makes some gaming suggestions. Okay. So lots, obviously the Indian army was very heavily influenced by the Brits for obvious reasons of the colonialism that took place there, and so a lot of their uniforms, even to this day, a lot of their uniforms are based very much on British uniforms and equipment. And you've got British uniforms and equipment and stuff like that, and vehicles being used in this scenario. Excellent. 15th century Terminator, building Edward IV, England's warrior king. Okay, so Mike Peters is something of an unstoppable giant in the world of army painting. And in this article, he kit bashes and paints an unstoppable giant from the Wars of the Roses. So there you go. This is how this guy kit bashed Edward IV. And painted him up as well. That's a cool little vignette there. That's nice. The Battle That Never Was, or was it? Karim van Overmeyer makes up for the lack of nearby wargaming shows by pushing on his own big battle mini-campaign based around Blucher attacking Schwarzenberg in 1816. So Prussian First Army, Bavarians, Austrians, Prussian Second Army. Okay. The real battle of 1866. The historical battle started with 125,000 Prussians of the Prussian First Army facing 238,000 Austrians and Saxons, arrayed in strong defensive positions. The plan was to cross the Bistritz and make a frontal attack on the Austrians while simultaneously turning the southern flank where the Saxons were placed. This is obviously a what if. Right, raising the dead. Callum France considers the golden ratio as he creates a necromancer vignette to lead and raise his undead army. So that's cool. The golden ratio. A compositional element worth considering when you're creating a vignette is the golden ratio, also known as the golden number or the divine proportion, and it is something that was in my mind as I built and placed my skeletons. Just looks good. I like the minis. The other Northwest frontier. Following on from last month's insurgency theme, Simon McDowell introduces us to an interesting theatre of warfare and wargaming that borrows its name from a more famous location on the other side of the world and offers equally engaging gaming potential. Just the Canadian Northwest was not settled with quite the same degree of violence as the Western US. Inevitably, there was conflict as the Canadian government pushed westward, encouraging settlement of the vast open prairies, partially in an attempt to discourage northward encroachment by the USA. That's interesting. What have we got? We've got Northwest Mounted Police, 90th Winnipeg Rifles, 10th Royal Grenadiers, and the Midland Battalion and Canadian Artillery. And then you've got Irregular Scouts, Cree, Assiniboine and Sioux, and Metis. Scenario, the first day at Batoche, 9th of May 1885. The Northwest Field Forces advancing in strength to take Batoche, where you have established your provisional capital. Your objective is to hinder their advance and to cause enough damage on them to force negotiations. So there's your scenario. Bill Hook's movement trays. So yeah, movement trays are a big thing for certain wargaming bits and pieces. And this is just showing you how you can make your own. 7th time lucky. Crusading in Lion Rampant 2nd edition. Pete Brown uses Lion Rampant 2nd edition to play the campaigning possibilities of the 7th Crusade in Egypt. So that's cool. Looks like it's 28mm wargaming. And then we are getting into the adverts. So Mega Terrain England, that looks good. Buildings, ramparts, hills. They might be worth a look. megaterrainengland.com. Okay, so yeah, that was Wargames Illustrated, issue 423, March 2023. Okay. Oh, apologies for being so late.